Hello, I'm Dr. Joseph Butler. I'm a geriatrician, and for many years I've worked closely with adults over the age of 60. I've listened to their concerns, followed their health journeys, and seen firsthand how confusing weight loss becomes later in life. Today I want to talk to you about weight loss after 60. Not from the perspective of diet trends or social media advice, but from medical science, clinical experience, and respect for the aging body. If you're over 60 and feel that losing weight is harder than it used to be, I want to start by reassuring you of something very important. This is not a lack of discipline. It is not a personal failure. Your body has changed, and most people were never taught how those changes affect metabolism, fat storage, and energy balance. As we age, several biological processes shift at the same time. One of the most significant changes is a natural decline in metabolism. This is closely linked to the gradual loss of muscle mass, a process known as sarcopenia. Sarcopenia is not a disease. It is a well-documented aspect of aging studied extensively in geriatric medicine. Muscle tissue is metabolically active, meaning it helps the body burn glucose efficiently. When muscle mass decreases, the body becomes less capable of using sugar for energy and more likely to store it as fat. This is one of the main reasons belly fat becomes more common after 60, even in people who have not changed their eating habits significantly. At the same time, insulin sensitivity declines. Scientific studies consistently show that aging is associated with increased insulin resistance, even in individuals who maintain a relatively healthy diet. This means the body needs more insulin to manage the same amount of glucose in the bloodstream, which promotes fat storage and makes weight loss more challenging. Digestion also changes with age. Gastric emptying slows, meaning food stays in the stomach longer. The production of digestive enzymes can decrease. The gut microbiome shifts, affecting how nutrients are processed. Hormones that regulate hunger and fullness, such as insulin, ghrelin, and leptin, become less responsive. Together, these changes alter appetite signals, energy levels, and how the body responds to food. This explains why the advice that worked at 40 often fails at 65. Eating less without strategy can lead to muscle loss rather than fat loss. Exercising harder without proper preparation can increase injury risk. Extreme diets may result in dizziness, weakness, and rapid rebound weight gain. From a medical perspective, these approaches are not only ineffective, but potentially harmful for older adults. When I speak with my patients about weight loss after 60, I emphasize that the goal is not simply to eat less or move more. The goal is to work with the body's physiology as it exists today. Weight loss after 60 must be protective, not aggressive. The first principle I focus on is muscle preservation. Maintaining muscle mass is one of the most important factors for healthy aging. Research shows that older adults who preserve muscle have better glucose control, stronger bones, lower fall risk, and greater independence. Weight loss strategies that sacrifice muscle undermine long-term health. This is why protein intake becomes more important with age. Adequate protein supports muscle maintenance, improves satiety, and helps regulate appetite. Clinical studies in older adults demonstrate that higher protein intake, distributed throughout the day, supports fat loss while preserving lean tissue. Weight loss without sufficient protein often results in weakness rather than improved health. The second principle is blood sugar stability. Frequent spikes and crashes in blood glucose promote fat storage, inflammation, and fatigue. This effect is magnified in older adults because insulin regulation is already under strain. From a geriatric standpoint, weight loss becomes far more achievable when blood sugar remains stable throughout the day. That's why I advise against skipping meals, eating carbohydrates alone, or following extreme low-calorie plans. Pairing carbohydrates with protein or healthy fats slows digestion, moderates glucose absorption, and reduces insulin demand. This is not a fad. It is basic metabolic physiology supported by decades of research. The third principle is movement, not punishment. Exercise after 60 should protect the joints, support the heart, and preserve muscle. Scientific studies consistently show that regular walking, light resistance training, balance exercises, and flexibility work provide substantial benefits for older adults. These forms of movement improve insulin sensitivity, reduce inflammation, and support weight management without increasing injury risk. High-intensity workouts are not necessary for effective weight loss after 60. In fact, they often lead to setbacks due to joint strain or fatigue. Consistency matters far more than intensity. From a medical perspective, the best exercise is the one you can sustain safely over time. Sleep is another critical factor that is often underestimated. Poor sleep increases cortisol levels, a stress hormone that promotes fat storage, particularly in the abdominal area. Research shows that sleep deprivation worsens insulin resistance and increases appetite. In geriatric medicine, we often say that weight loss does not happen only in the kitchen. It also happens during sleep. Stress plays a similar role. Chronic stress keeps the nervous system in a constant state of alert. Cortisol remains elevated. Fat loss becomes more difficult, regardless of diet or exercise. This is why sustainable weight loss after 60 must address stress management, whether through relaxation techniques, social connection, or gentle physical activity. Another important concept I share with my patients is patience. Slower weight loss is not a problem. In fact, slower weight loss is often safer and more sustainable for older adults. Rapid weight loss increases the risk of muscle loss, nutrient deficiencies, and weakness. Medical research consistently shows that gradual fat loss leads to better long-term outcomes in people over 60. It's also important to understand that the scale is not the best measure of success. The scale does not distinguish between fat and muscle. From a clinical perspective, improved energy, better mobility, stable blood sugar, reduced inflammation, and improved quality of life are far more meaningful indicators of progress. Many of my patients are surprised to find that their weight changes only modestly, yet their waist circumference decreases, their strength improves, and their blood markers stabilize. That is real, medically meaningful progress. Another factor often overlooked is inflammation. Aging is associated with a chronic, low-grade inflammatory state, sometimes referred to as inflammaging. Inflammation interferes with insulin signaling and promotes fat storage. Stable blood sugar, adequate sleep, regular movement, and balanced nutrition all help reduce this inflammatory burden, making weight loss more achievable. Hydration also matters more than many people realize. Mild dehydration can impair glucose metabolism and increase fatigue. Older adults often experience reduced thirst sensation, making dehydration more common. From a geriatric perspective, proper hydration supports digestion, metabolism, and appetite regulation. Social factors also play a role. Loneliness, isolation, and emotional stress can influence eating behaviors and metabolic health. Research shows that social connection and emotional well-being are linked to better health outcomes in older adults. Weight loss after 60 is not just a physical process, it is also psychological and social. One of the most empowering messages I give my patients is this: aging does not mean your body is broken. It means your body requires a different strategy. When weight loss is approached with respect for physiology, science, and safety, the body responds. You do not need extreme diets. You do not need punishment workouts. You do not need to chase unrealistic expectations. You need understanding, consistency, and compassion for your body. As a geriatrician, my responsibility is not to promise rapid results. My responsibility is to help you protect your health, your strength, and your independence for as long as possible. Weight loss, when done correctly after 60, supports all three. If you're over 60 and feel discouraged, I want you to hear this clearly. It is not too late. Your body is still capable of change, but it must be guided, not forced. When weight loss strategies are aligned with medical science and the realities of aging, they become sustainable. They stop feeling like a battle and start feeling like self-care. If this explanation helped you better understand weight loss after 60 from a medical perspective, consider subscribing to the channel using the link above. Here on Healthcare Seniors, we focus on evidence-based guidance, clear explanations, and deep respect for the aging body. Thank you very much for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.
Join us on Healthcare Seniors.
Be part of our community and watch the next video.